I'm in a mood. Mondays are hard. I know that I've got like 5 days of the red tape factory ahead of me.
Does Kevin finally meet the future mother of his children? Let's break down This Is Us Season 4, Episode 3 and find out just what happened. What's going on, you lovely people? Lisa here, and back for some more This Is Us time. So this week's episode finds some characters dealing with secrets coming out, while others are navigating how to deal with some big changes in their lives. Now, on the tissue scale of This Is Us, I'd only give this one a 3. I feel like it wasn't as tear-inducing as most episodes of this show and what we've come to know. But you know what? In a way, it's kind of a nice break, because that would just be exhausting if we were sobbing our eyes out every week, right? Yeah, no one wants to feel that much, do they? Anyway, let's go ahead and get this recap started. First, let's talk about our flashback. For Randall, it's his first day of junior high, 7th grade, which, if you've been there, which I think we all have, it's a pretty tough transition time. Now, Randall is hoping to impress his brand new teacher, who he's managed to somehow creep on in the pre-internet and social media age. Yeah, this is a pretty resourceful kid. Anyway, in order to impress his new teacher, who is an African-American man from Chicago, Randall goes into the bathroom and changes into his Air Jordans, hoping it will win his teacher over. Unfortunately, that plan backfires, and the teacher gives Randall a yellow slip which needs to be signed by his parent. We also get a little glimpse of Randall yet again feeling like he is not, for lack of better words, black enough, as the teacher mentions Arsenio Hall, and Randall just kind of is like, who is that? Anyway, we end up seeing Randall experience what is probably his first panic attack, but of course he's not even sure what's happening, and his attack worsens, so he calls home for Rebecca. Now, Kate and Kevin, they're both still at home because their school hasn't started yet, and Kevin ends up answering the phone, and instead of getting Rebecca, he goes to help Randall and meets him at the school. And then he does something that, I'm kind of guilty of at one point or another. He forges Rebecca's signature, so Randall doesn't have to get in any more trouble, even though this dress code offense is probably the most minor thing that you could get away with that your parents really wouldn't be mad at. Anyway, Kevin does help Randall calm down, and it's another one of those rare glimpses of preteen Kevin actually being helpful and thinking of someone other than himself. Later that night, Kevin asks Randall if he's okay, and they start to have a really cute sibling bonding share session, getting things off their chest, and Kate even joins in, confessing her kiss to Stuart from the pool the last episode. Now, it's basically one of those Kodak moments where if Jack had been spying through the door, he'd have that video camera rolling, because it's just adorable. Yeah, but these three have one of their, triplet big three moments, and Randall ends up asking Kevin if he knows who Arsenio Hall is, and it's another moment where Kevin's like, wait, dude, you don't know who that is? So Kevin decides to help his brother out in another cute move, and he convinces Jack and Rebecca to let them stay up late and watch the Arsenio Hall show. Now, this storyline with the young big three parallels Deja and Tess's storyline in this episode in the present. They too are starting their first day at their new school, and Tess is still being very standoffish and doesn't really want to talk to Beth about anything. Now, after school, Deja gets a text from Malik, who is outside, and confesses to her that he has a 6-month-old daughter named Janelle, who he had with his ex, but his ex wanted to give the baby up for adoption, and he and his parents didn't want that, so they now have custody. He tells Deja that he wanted her to know straight from his mouth in person, instead of hearing it through the grapevine in the halls of school or over a text. And I just gotta say, I gotta applaud this young man. Malik is already acting more mature, I feel like, than some men my age. The fact that he wanted to get that out and be honest with her right away. I'm rooting for this guy. Anyway, we don't get to see fully how Deja responds to this. She does kind of have that look on her face like, what did he just say to me? But then we see her go into Tess's room, and she confides in Tess. Now, Deja doesn't know if she likes Malik anymore. She says it's kind of complicated. And then, Tess reminds Deja that Deja was also once very complicated. Deja then gets Tess to open up about what's bugging her. Now, Tess thought that coming to a new school and starting over, that she could just be out, wouldn't have to worry about anything, but it turns out things haven't been that easy. She went to school, and a girl she was sitting with asked Tess if she thought the football player was cute, and Tess ended up agreeing, saying he was cute, and now she is upset because she's feeling confused and guilty for not being true to herself and making that girl believe that she was straight. We then see Deja return the favor with the advice, and the two start giggling and making fun of each other just like our young big three did in the flashback. So it's really nice to see Deja and Tess have this bonding moment. I feel like we haven't really had a lot of that with the progression of their relationship. Obviously a little bit rocky in the beginning, and then they became family, but they haven't really had much focus together, so I thought that was a really cute thing. Now, as for the other part of our flashback, things aren't going so well for Jack. He's already having an off morning, and then when he gets to work, he finds out that permits got all messed up on this really expensive project, and now it has to be redone, and it's going to cost a lot of money, and basically whoever's responsible will be fired. Well, unfortunately, we learned that Jack is the man who is responsible, so he actually goes to his boss and comes clean, and unfortunately gets fired right on the spot. Now, when Jack tells Miguel about this, Miguel is not having it, and Miguel continues to earn those trust and bonus points as he goes into the boss's office and threatens to quit if Jack gets fired. And well, since Miguel's kind of in an upper position, it'd hurt the company if he leaves, so Jack gets to keep his job. Now that night, Jack calls Miguel essentially to express his thanks, but in that roundabout way where some people, especially some men, just can't express their gratitude, say thank you, or in other forms say I love you.
I know we don't ever say any mushy things to each other, but I mean, if we did, this would definitely be one of those times.
So we kind of get a little cute back and forth friendship moment between Jack and Miguel, but essentially Jack tells Miguel that if he ever needs the favor returned, he'll be there. Alright, now on to the rest of our present storyline. Toby, he is still trying to hide the fact that he's been losing a lot of weight to Kate, but everything kind of comes to a head when Kate goes to a lunch meeting with Toby, who is trying to woo some new clients. She notices he's gotten a new suit and is thinning down, and then we see Toby try to ask the waitress if they can sit in a table instead of the booth, but the waitress insists they can't, there's no tables, they're reserved. Kate gets so frustrated, she finally blurts out the real reason they need a table is because she can't fit in the booth. Then when they get home, she makes Toby take his shirt off, and she is just baffled by how he's losing so much weight as she's gaining weight, and not just losing weight but also getting muscular. Toby then confesses that he's been sneaking out to do CrossFit, and he explains how his heart attack and Jack now being blind has had him thinking about the future and his health, and so he started working out because he didn't want to drop dead one day, and leave baby Jack and Kate alone. And of course, Kate takes this the wrong way and takes it as a jab.
He doesn't need to have a dad who's going to drop dead one day trying to teach him how to tie his shoes.
Oh, like his mom might.
She then goes to have a cry fest out on the porch where her seemingly grumpy neighbor stops by once again to yell at her for Toby parking his car on the driveway where it blocks the sidewalk. Now, as Kate tries to explain that she's not having it today, it's not been a good day, and what all her problems are, the neighbor basically lets her realize she doesn't have it as bad as the majority of other people, as he reveals he had a stroke and had to relearn how to do everything, which the actor who portrays him, Timothy Amundsen, actually went through in real life. But the reason that this blocked sidewalk is such a big deal is because this man, the neighbor, is doing his best to build up his strength, and he goes on a mile walk around the block every day. But if that sidewalk is blocked, he can't take that walk. Of course, this resonates with Kate, as she's like, well, maybe my problems aren't as big and major as, I think they are, and she ends up apologizing to Toby. He apologizes as well, and she lets Toby know that, she's happy for him and that all of this is actually her problem, and she also asks that they have no more secrets. Now, in the flashback, we do see young Kate join Rebecca to do a video workout, and when Kate finishes, she immediately runs to the scale to see if she's lost any weight, which, when she hasn't, she gets extremely upset. Then she asks her brothers if they'd ever date someone who is bigger than them.
I'm gonna marry Cindy Crawford. She's like 5'9" and way bigger than me.
Well, Kevin, I don't really think that's what Kate meant, but at least he tried, right? Anyway, it seems like Kate back then gave up on working out because she expected immediate results. It's just the thing like, I want to get thin. If this thing doesn't work immediately, gotta try something else or gotta give up. Now, I feel like after hearing her neighbor's story and seeing how he's working, how hard Toby is working, she realized that if she's gonna lose this weight and change her life, she needs to put in the work. And well, she wants that life change. We gotta see her move the car from blocking the sidewalk, and we see her do so, and she goes outside with baby Jack and radio and joins the neighbor for a walk.
I'm not fast either.
But we are going to look like the toughest gang in the neighborhood.
Next up, we have Randall, who is adjusting to his new role as councilman with Jae-won as his chief of staff. Now, they've become pretty much best friends in this time of running this campaign. Now, Randall continues to do things kind of the untraditional way, as there's an article in the paper about how he's taken his door off the hinges so that he has an open door policy. He's going to listen to the constituents. They got to feel free to come in and talk to him about their problems and what changes they want to see. Someone who's not really impressed by his approach is his assistant Bernice, who continues to give him attitude and eye rolls, and also does not like Jae-won. She says he isn't qualified and is too naive for the job. Randall then spends the day listening to all his constituents, even pushing back a drink meeting with other councilmen, which he ends up sending Jae-won to, and Bernice thinks it's pretty bad that he's missed. Now, putting off this meeting causes Randall and Bernice to kind of have a confrontation, as she's ordered his door to be put back on the hinges because it's a fire hazard, and she basically tells Randall that he needs to be getting close with the other councilmen, schmooze with them. They're the ones who have the votes to be on his side, all of that, and he shouldn't be spending all his time listening to the people. And he needs someone who understands how politics and things work as his chief of staff, not a best friend who's Jae-won, who has no experience, and she essentially thinks Jae-won should be fired. We're then kind of led to believe that Randall goes along with her and thinks the same thing, as Randall goes to meet up with Jae-won for drinks where all the other councilmen have left. We then learn that Randall has fired Bernice, so Jae-won will be on the hunt to look for a new assistant. And then Randall wonders if they're naive, and Jae-won says they are, but it doesn't matter as long as they make some good changes by the end of their term, because they're different than these other politicians. They're not using this councilman spot as, a stepping stool to get higher up in the political food chain, or whatever you want to call it. They're actually there to make changes for the people. So now that that's settled, Randall tells Jae-won he'll listen to his proposal, and this whole time we've been thinking it's like Jae-won maybe using the power to get Randall to fix something or do something he wants when it comes to the community, but it turns out Jae-won just wanted advice about the marriage proposal. Lastly, let's talk about Kevin. So this episode, we see Kevin coming to town to help Uncle Nicky, but before that, we get to see what led Uncle Nicky to throw the chair through that window. Turns out Nicky was actually on the path to getting his life back together, as he actually started seeing a therapist at the VA who he did truly open up to. He even started cleaning up his trailer and put a picture of baby Jack that Kevin sent him on the fridge. Yeah, it's like, oh yes, we're rooting for you. But then of course things go south when Dr. Ruiz, his therapist, informs him that she's getting transferred and he'll have to start working with a new doctor. And while this does not sit well with Nicky, who just built up so much trust with Dr. Ruiz, so that's when he goes away, gets drunk, and throws that chair through the window. Then Kevin comes to town, and with his help, Nicky gets reevaluated and is allowed to continue getting treatment at the VA in hopes of reducing his sentence for this incident. The doctor does, though, have a warning for Kevin.
None of us can help someone who doesn't want to be helped.
Also, as Kevin is waiting for Nicky to get out of the session, he befriends a young boy who just happens to be Cassidy, played by Jennifer Morrison's son. Now, Cassidy and Kevin don't really hit it off right away, as she pretty much thinks it's creepy that he's made friends with her 9-year-old son, but then again, she left her 9-year-old son in a waiting room at a VA hospital by himself. Does she expect him to sit in a corner and not talk to anybody? Well, Cassidy and her son leave while Kevin finds Nicky has run off to the bar. Kevin tries again to get through to Nicky, like telling Nicky maybe it's Nicky's fault that Kevin relapsed. But anyways, Nicky frustrates Kevin so much that Kevin needs a meeting, and he's not leaving without Nicky by his side, even if Nicky has to wait in the car during the meeting. So they end up going to the meeting, and Nicky does come in, supposedly for the snacks. And surprise, Cassidy is in this meeting as well. Now, she's still cold to Kevin as he ends up sitting far away from her. But as he's sharing, what he's going through, he starts to go a little out there, which causes Cassidy to start laughing.
Welcome to Jowl City at 50, right? And then what? I'm the guy in the AARP ads that's like just thrilled to death that he can still wipe his own ass.
So yeah, she starts laughing uncontrollably, which makes Nicky laugh uncontrollably, and Kevin's just kind of like, why are they laughing at me? The leader of the group is getting mad, and eventually, though, Kevin does start to laugh at himself and joins in with their laughter, and it's kind of like a nice little bonding moment, right? And this whole meeting, the way that they met Cassidy and Kevin in this kind of, well, they met a little bit before it, but this meeting setting reminds me of how Kate and Toby met, and how Toby was like the only one who kind of understood Kate's sense of humor. So I'm getting those vibes, the kind of like soulmate vibes here, whether it's a romantic relationship between Kevin and Cassidy or just kind of a friendship, or maybe it's that Cassidy forms a bond with Nicky and they're able to help each other. We don't really know yet how this relationship is going. But I know so many people are leaning towards the theory that Cassidy and her husband maybe split up and then she gets with Kevin. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. And well, you know what, guys? That pretty much wraps up the events of this week's episode. So let's watch the promo for the next one.
Hi, this is my son Randall.
Hello, this is my daughter Bethany.
I think Beth and Randall already know each other.
What's the story with him?
We went on a date, but it's probably not gonna work out.
It's probably for the best.
What does that mean?
It's an unmitigated disaster.
You just have to reschedule.
We're not rescheduling.
This is what we're going to do.
Don't tell me what I can and can't do, Carol.
Oh man, Randall and Beth's mom going head to head in this next episode. I kind of wonder if it will parallel the past with maybe Jack and Rebecca's dad going head to head. I know we kind of only see in this promo Rebecca meeting Beth's mom when they were when the kids were in college. We don't see, you know, anything with Jack and her dad, but who knows, maybe it's going to be the 3 timelines there with that similar kind of a thing. But I know I'm just kind of excited to see Felicia Rashad back on the show. I think she's awesome. I've loved her since I watched her on The Cosby Show, and I'm glad that we're going to get more of her and that relationship with Beth and her backstory there. But like I said, not an overly emotional episode this week by the normal This Is Us standards, but it's definitely planting seeds for future conflicts, connections, and all that kind of stuff, I think. And I'm just also kind of hoping that Randall stays a little more on the naive side of and doesn't get corrupted by the whole power politician part. I hope that doesn't become a storyline. But yeah, that's all I got for you on this one, guys. It's time for you to sound off and let me know what you thought of this week's episode of This Is Us. What do you think will happen and develop with Nikki, Cassidy, and Kevin? Do you think she is Kevin's baby mama or something else? How do you think Jack losing his job, or actually he didn't lose it, but almost losing his job, will affect him, and how will he repay the favor to Miguel? Let me know all your thoughts, theories, and whatever you feel like saying down in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my recaps. Riverdale's also coming back. Lots of shows are coming back that I'm going to try to talk about. But you can check out more of my videos right over here. I'm Lisa. Thanks so much for letting me ramble, and I'll see you real soon.